Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. I thought I'd do something a bit different to celebrate the occasion, and also because this is a constant topic. This is a topic that we have been talking about since around 2017, and now that it is finally upon us, many different predictions have come out of the woodworks. The interesting part for me is that they are 85% of them are relatively the same. So without further ado, it says on the 3rd of January 2009, the pseudonymous developer Satoshi Nakamoto bootstrapped the Bitcoin network by mining its first ever block, known as Block 0, the Genesis block as it has become known. Came etched with a message that would invariably position Bitcoin as an alternative monetary system to rival the realm of central banking. It said, and I do quote, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks," the memo read, in reference to a headline about the UK government's action during the global recession of 2008 and 2009. The rest, as you know, is history. Bitcoin is officially 11 years old. That is the major topic, I kind of want to say. A lot of people have been reveling in the fact, there we go, that's definitely the right word, reveling in the fact that Bitcoin is indeed only 11 and has already done so much. We have reached a period in history where before you had to go through some type of strife, namely war, in order to be able to propel a currency to the top of the list, i.e., the fact that Bitcoin has only done this, or rather started really picking up speed around year 6 and 7, and even around the time it was around, was it 8-9 years, that the fact that we are, or were, near the point, or halfway to the point, give or take, of a $1 trillion market cap is incredibly significant. A lot of people are looking towards the future. A lot of people think that the future begins now. Why? Because this is the year, we are not that far away now from Bitcoin's reward getting cut in half. This is all that the news is probably going to be about for the rest of the year. There will obviously be other bits of news, but I mean, as far as the news that's going to dominate this year, it is going to be the news about Bitcoin's reward getting cut in half, I believe in May. And what, if anything, or what kind of an effect that will have on the price of Bitcoin and the overall cryptocurrency market, because, as we know, Bitcoin is very heavy. And when Bitcoin moves, everything else has to move along with it. So when Bitcoin goes down by 25%, the rest of the market tends to go down by 25 to 40% as well. However, if we get into a situation where Bitcoin is currently around $7,000 at the time of me making this video, to a 10x in price, well, the other coins will probably follow suit as they have done so before in the past. So it's more of a symbiotical, beneficial type of situation that we're going to have going on, whether it be up or down. A lot of people, like I said, as we get further into it, you will see a pattern, because people have been saying this for quite a long amount of time, and the interesting part is that we are finally here. Here's a little chart for reference. As far as, so the things that we're going to be going over are, how do I say this? People have made sure to do their own work, do their own homework to kind of see exactly where they project things to be going. It's not just random numbers. It's not simply people saying, oh, I think it's going to go there because this number sounds nice as I speak it out loud. It's more of a lot of people have been putting Bitcoin models into other figures for what they think, or rather what they've seen happen before in past traditional markets. And for some reason, Bitcoin correlates extremely well with the traditional markets. And therefore, a lot of people think that this could have a significant effect on the price of Bitcoin. And with the significant effect on the price of Bitcoin, also on the future hoarding of Bitcoin. Because if these models this year end up being correct, that'll then mean, in essence, that the other models that other people have been putting out for the last couple of years that are showing the movement this year would then probably also potentially be correct further along in the future, which would then mean it would solidify in so many people's heads that if you're holding it now and this person said 3 years ago that 3 years from now or wherever we are right now is something is going to happen, that means that 6 years potentially from now that same exact thing is also going to happen. And when you talk about Bitcoin's price 6 years from now, that's when we end up hitting those $500,000 Bitcoin numbers. So this is it's not even a sample chart. It's kind of the chart that every single analyst has at some point on their own, in their own corner, has come up with. And they all look relatively the same. So we're going to start with the price predictions from the lowest to, I dare say, the most outrageous for things that people are predicting to happen in 2020. The first one. Okay, don't know if my mic cut off. Nope, I think I pulled something. Hold on. It's always, I'm such a mess. I'm like, I have all these cords and tangles and stuff everywhere. Anyway, the first one up. It says, as the crypto community enters 2020, the CEO of Zengo Wallet, Oriel Ohayon, tweeted his New Year predictions, one of which was that the price of Bitcoin will crash below 1,000 US dollars. Ohayon tweeted 9 hours ago, saying Bitcoin will crash to sub 1,000. However, so the problem, it's not really a problem, is that people took him seriously. And a lot of times in the cryptocurrency space, people for some reason can't get jokes. I've made a couple of videos and I've joked in them, or I've joked in the title. And I noticed that people don't really get jokes when they're in text form. So he said all hardware wallets will be hacked. Tron and XRP will become the most important cryptocurrencies. Satoshi's identity will be revealed and it will be disappointing. Trump will stack sats on Twitter. And Lightning Network will have glorious adoption. And then he mentioned right after, joke mode off, because I'm pretty sure some people were like, hey, what are you talking about? This is the weirdest and also I think the lowest price prediction that we have. I personally don't foresee Bitcoin going anywhere near 1,000 US dollars or below it anytime soon. The second one, following in order, crypto analyst Philip Swift predicts that the upcoming halving this year, a lot of these articles are from like the very end of December, will catalyze a change in market sentiment and propel Bitcoin's price back up to 5 figures. At the moment, Bitcoin price is still consolidating in the mid $7,000 range. It's been pretty flat for a past week or so, with short bursts upwards with rapidly deflated prices after. Since it's dumped below 8,000 in November, Bitcoin has failed to break resistance and move higher. This indicates that there may be more pain before any more gain. Where is his actual thing? He predicts basically, as many other people do, and this is the thing that gets me, I don't want to use the word excited. I think that's not right for what we're talking about. It's more like I become curious as to how all these people are coming to the exact same conclusion. This person predicted that Bitcoin will go past $13,000 in early 2020 simply off of the sentiment of where Bitcoin's price could potentially go. A lot of people, now listen, the idea has constantly been Bitcoin's price is going to go higher because of the reward getting cut in half. Other people would take notice and therefore Bitcoin's price would go up. A lot of people now think, or rather there's a bit of a 50-50, almost pretty even, that Bitcoin's price will go up because other people are saying that Bitcoin's price will go up. And anticipation for Bitcoin's price going up, other people will start to buy. As other people are buying, more people will buy in. As more people buy in, Bitcoin's price passes that golden 10,000 US dollar mark. Once again, the other coins start moving up. Everyone's saying, why is Bitcoin's price moving up? Oh, it's the halving. When it's really not the halving, it's just people hyped up about what could potentially be the price movements for the Bitcoin price going up as we get near the halving. Got it? Kind of staying with me? The same exact thing has happened for many other coins. What we've seen before, remember Litecoin? Heading up to Litecoin's halving, Litecoin's price was going up. Now, Litecoin is not as popular as Bitcoin. So the expected potential gains are assumed to be a lot higher than they were with Litecoin. I think Litecoin went up by over 100% over the course of like a 2 or 3 month period as people were anticipating a price rise after the halving. And what happened immediately after the halving was that Bitcoin's price, or rather Litecoin's price, ended up slinking down further to where it currently is. The next one says, even though Bitcoin has always experienced frequent price fluctuations, this time the majority of experts share the common view that the cryptocurrency will soar up. Bitcoin's expected value in 2020 and 5 years ahead may eventually reach an all-time high of 50,000 US dollars. This is the more bullish, bearish one that we're going to be going over. Bitcoin is still the cryptocurrency market leader, maintaining its number one position. According to its current performance, Bitcoin may supposedly, according to this capital.com, reach 23,500 US dollars by the end of this year. Currently is experiencing a steady bull run, attracting numerous traders and investors on a daily basis, and the more the trading, the higher the price. Bitcoin's price in 2020 is forecasted to range anywhere from 25,000 around 33,000 at the end of the year. 2020 may become a year of optimism not only for Bitcoin, but for all of the major cryptocurrencies and central banks and governments who are willing to embrace cryptos, hence driving the demand for big and institutional investments. And they said that they think, according to their numbers, that Bitcoin won't reach 50,000 until the year 2025. I saw that mentioned once other time before. It's not a common thing. A lot of people think that not only, this is what they think, that not only are we going to pass by anywhere from 35 to 50,000 this year, there will be a dip back down. People think that what we've been experiencing right now, what we're going through, is actually the beginning of the bull market. And rather, people think that the bull market is currently going on, and any fluctuations that we have are just a result of the actual action in the market. But what I think a lot of people are waiting for is that really big move up, like when Bitcoin went from 7,000 to 20,000. This is what a lot of people assume a bull market is and don't really realize that bull markets sometimes go on for years, 2 to 3 years, and any price fluctuations that may be seen, especially within the cryptocurrency space, a lot of people think that any bull market has to result in a 3-year period where prices are going up by 100% every single day. That's not how any market works. If that ever happened to Bitcoin, exit the market immediately, because that means that Bitcoin is probably the largest bubble that we've ever seen in the entire world. Bitcoin should not be going up by 100% a day. That is incredibly unhealthy. It's Bitcoin. Anywhere from 10 to 30% over the course of a month and or a couple of months is extremely good. But they think that Bitcoin's price won't hit 50,000 until the year 2025. Cryptocurrency-focused research company Digital Asset Research has released a new Bitcoin price prediction model based on scarcity. This is what a lot of people... This has been the main idea as to what is going to cause Bitcoin's price to actually go higher. Based on scarcity, i.e. how few Bitcoin there are actually left to be mined. The model estimates that Bitcoin's price could reach as high as 60,595 US dollars by May of 2020. Nearly 6 times its current value. Once again, this is from last year, of 10,000 US dollars. This would place Bitcoin's market cap at 1.25 trillion US dollars. The prediction model is largely based on extrapolating Bitcoin's previous price performance into the future. Another key factor, the report says, will determine is Bitcoin's price block reward halving, the next of which is due in 2020. As the reward for mining blocks is cut in half, the price of Bitcoin is due to go up. I'm feeling in my bones that Bitcoin's price will probably, maybe, I don't know the future, not be able to sustain any major growth. If we go from where we are right now to a $45,000 or $50,000 Bitcoin by May, Bitcoin is going to once again have a tumble. It's just kind of how things are. However, for those of you, I know a lot of people are itching to cash out of the market. That may then be your opportunity. Pay attention to, I always say, everyone has a price in their head. Everyone has a number in their head of where cryptocurrency is going to go and how much they want to sell it for. I have my own numbers. You have your own numbers. Start calculating those numbers now and how much you want to sell, some, all of it, and what price you feel comfortable selling at all. I know a couple of people before who wanted to sell a couple of coins when they were around 80% of their all-time high, and they saw the prices continuing to go up, and they were like, no, I'll hold on to it. And then they, didn't really make any huge amount of money as the prices started slinking back down. But this is one of the Not lower, but still relatively conservative for where people think that it's going to go this year. A lot of people think that the last 3 years, that is to say, infrastructure being built 2017, 2018, and then 2019, rough time figure, that this has been or will also be the catalyst for where crypto ends up going. Remember I mentioned all the other times in the other videos, whenever we get news that this coin has been added to this exchange, this coin is now on this one, you can now pay with the lira or the dollar or the yen or the euro or the Turkish this or the Indonesian that or the Singaporean so-and-so. How much money, how many more extra gateways we're going to have for people to be able to get into the cryptocurrency market. They're all very significant because before, once again, we only had two. I believe it was Coinbase and Kraken. And then other ones started popping up, but they still didn't have, it was only like access to people within the United States and only within like 13 states or something like that. So the fact that we now have thousands of gateways, if the price starts skyrocketing once again, even if we get a Bitcoin price within the next month and a half of around $19,000, that's going to ignite a fire, and millions of people around the world will now have access to these different cryptocurrency exchanges in their own local currency that they'll then be able to buy very easily. One of the more popular ones, and I mean, this guy has, I think he came around last summer, and everyone seems to love what he says. It says, I calculated Bitcoin's monthly SF and value from December 2009 to February 2019. 111 data points in total. The number of blocks per month can be directly queried from the Bitcoin blockchain with Python. RPC Bitcoined. Actual number of blocks quite differs a bit from the theoretical number because blocks are not produced exactly every 10 minutes. Bitcoin price data is available from different sources, but starts at the July in 2010. It said I added the first known Bitcoin price. It was $1. Got you 1,309 Bitcoin in October 2009. The first quote of 0.003. That is a third of 1 cent for a Bitcoin. March 2010. May 2010. 2 Bitcoins worth $41. 2 pieces worth $41 for, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think I saw an an interview with that guy a couple of weeks ago. He's the guy who paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizza. Data archaeology will be a subject for future research. We already have the data points for gold. So he goes on what's called the stock to flow. It's pretty much how much is out there based on the actual demand for the supply that's kind of out there. He said we already have the data points for gold, and the stock to flow is 62. The current market value of gold is $8.5 trillion. And silver stock to flow is 22. Current market value is $308 billion. That means Bitcoin's going to pass by silver relatively soon again. He says, which he uses as a benchmark. A first scatter plot of SF versus market value shows that it's better to use logarithmic values or axis for market value because it spans 8 orders of magnitude from 10,000 US dollars to $100 billion. Like I said, he's one of the more popular ones, and he's actually when he's mentioned or when he talks in podcasts and stuff like that, he usually has spoken to, I don't know if he said world leaders, but it's usually heads of major banks and institutions and hedge funds. And they want to know exactly what he has to say, and it, I assume, sways them as to if they're going to invest or not. He said because it spans 8 orders, using logarithmic values or axis for the stock to flow as well reveals a nice linear relationship between in stock to flow and in market value. Note that I use natural logarithmic with a base of e and not common logarithmic with a base of 10, which would yield similar results. Here's his chart right here. A lot of people confuse this line thinking that it means Bitcoin's price is going to go continuously up forever. He has jumps, ups and down, back and forth. His is more fascinating because his doesn't stop at other metrics. What I mean by that is typically when people talk about the future of Bitcoin's price, they show Bitcoin's price anywhere between 50,000 to maybe 120 something thousand, and they go, yeah, that's probably, maybe going to be the exact high. And he says, no, as long as Bitcoin remains popular and the reward keeps getting cut in half, which it is going to do, He says it's only going to cause the Bitcoin stock to flow to actually surpass gold, which would make Bitcoin rarer than gold. I mean, it already actually is, if you want to look at it technically in this way. We can continuously mine the earth for gold. There's something on, you can Google this. I think it's called The New Trillionaires or something like that. And it's about, there are many companies out there, not joking, who are looking into actually trying to mine gold and silver and other precious metals from meteorites. That's not even slightly joking. We may be years off from that actually happening, but it is a plan. And if that ends up happening and we find that not only is there more gold and silver deeper in the planet, our planet, but also we can go to the moon and mine it for gold and silver, or we can start mining asteroids, then what happens to the value of gold when it's kind of everywhere? Fitting a linear regression to the data confirms that we can see with the naked eye a strategically significant relationship between the stock to flow and market value. Where's the other really interesting part? He said what is very interesting is that gold and silver, which are totally different markets, are in line with Bitcoin model's value for stocks to flow. This is what makes him popular, because he said the correlation, a lot of people thought that Bitcoin's price was kind of just based off of a whim and a thing in the air. He says that the correlation between gold and silver is actually very similar to what Bitcoin is, i.e. things can be measured in the same exact way, and this is how you get the predictions for the future prices. He says this gives extra confidence in the model. Note that at the peak of the bull market in December 2017, Bitcoin stock to flow was 22, and the Bitcoin market value was 230 billion, which is exactly what the numbers that we just went over for silver. Because halvings have become such a huge impact on the stock to flow, I put months until the next halving as a color overlay on the chart. Dark blue is the halving month, and red is just after the halving. The next halving is May 2020. The current stock to flow of 25 will double to 50, very close to gold stock to flow of 62. The predicted market value for Bitcoin after May of 2020's halving is $1 trillion market cap, which would translate into a Bitcoin price of 55,000 US dollars. That is quite spectacular. I guess time will tell. We will probably know 1 or 2 years after the halving in 2020 or 2021. A great out of sample test of this hypothesis and model. People ask me where all the money needed for $1 trillion Bitcoin market value would come from. His answer is silver, gold, countries with negative interest rates, Europe, Japan, soon the United States, countries with predatory governments, he says Venezuela, China, Iran, Turkey, etc., billionaires and millionaires hedging against quantitative easing, and institutional investors discovering the best performing asset of the last 10 years. I think we had news a couple of days ago. I think Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the last decade out of everything. Like nothing can beat it. I think Bitcoin went up by like 3 million %. I can't remember and it was several million % that Bitcoin has gone up since since its inception. And a lot of people, stay with me, a lot of people think that this is probably the most accurate reading of where Bitcoin's price is going to go. That after, leading up to the halving, prices will react, but it's after that dip, it's the going back up and the realization that all your computers that you had mining before are only able to do half the job now, and therefore there will be half the Bitcoin being put into the world. And at the same exact time, we all know and we have all seen that people are buying up Bitcoin in mass. It's not slowing down. I have friends who are still buying. I still buy. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the comment section listening to this right now, you probably are buying anywhere from 5 to 10 million Satoshis per month. Now, equate that to around several million people on the planet who are also doing the exact same thing when the issuance rate is also going to be cut in half. And then also 4 years later, he was in a podcast a couple of months ago, this stock to flow guy, his name is Plan B. And they were asking him what his model shows. I think maybe it might be even over here. Hold on. Let me see if these numbers are actually correct. 100, 1,000, so and so, but 1 million. He said, I believe it was, he said by 2024, he thinks that Bitcoin's price should be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million per coin. And they were like, well, that's crazy. He was like, yeah, it gets actually even crazier. He's like, if Bitcoin keeps up this momentum and that momentum and the popularity stays the same, which is also kind of evident that it logically should. As Bitcoin's price goes up, more people get into Bitcoin. As more people get into Bitcoin, the price continues to go up. It's like a really weird loop that we actually end up having. Even as the market goes down, a lot of people still stay in the market waiting for the next run up. So he said by the time 2028 comes around, I think I forgot what the numbers were, but he was like looking at a 1.5 million to a $10 million Bitcoin. And I think the people on the podcast like stopped talking. They were like, seriously? He's like, yeah. And he said after that, I don't want to talk about the numbers anymore because it just seems completely outrageous. So those of you who weren't here in 2014, 2015, there were a lot of people who were shunned away from the cryptocurrency community because of the numbers that they said that Bitcoin was going to go to, and it just seemed completely insane. A lot of the numbers where people said that Bitcoin's price was going to go to by the year 2032 was anywhere from $10 to $100 million per coin. I threw my hands up. I don't know. No one saw Bitcoin's price going from a third of a cent to 20,000. And I think no one will also have foreseen it going from half a cent to 100,000 sometime either this year or the next year. No one knows. That's the interesting part about it. So the question is, like we've seen during other halvings before in the past, typically afterwards, Bitcoin's price does a bit of a 10x. And this is where I think a lot of people are getting these numbers from. A lot of the articles have started popping up all over the place. Before, they were kind of just on cryptocurrency, different websites. A lot of them are now popping up on major Forbes, Bloomberg. What was the other one? Morningstar, I think, has a couple of articles as well. This one says, after recovery to 10K, Bitcoin should hit 100,000 in 2021. This is also another popular one. A lot of people think that Bitcoin's price will react. However, Bitcoin's price won't react properly until after people realize that the halving, once again, has happened. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of normal people, air quotes, don't know about it. Or they're simply only waiting for Bitcoin to go up, not really understanding that this will be the most deflationary anything that we've ever seen in the history of humanity, as every 4 years continue to pass. Co-founder and managing partner of the crypto lending platform Nexo says Bitcoin may hit $50,000 or higher this year, a 508% increase from its current price of $7,300. In a new interview on Bloomberg TV, Antony Tranchev says his team believes Bitcoin's halving which is set to happen in about 4 months. We are 4 months away. How exciting. I mean, now, and that wasn't sarcasm. That's actual something. It's the same exact thing with all the Ethereum upgrades. Something we've been talking about for years is 4 months away. He said, I think that very easily we could see Bitcoin going up to $50,000 by the end of this year. We have our own analysts at Nexo crunching the numbers and doing very substantial research, and this is just a hell of a ride. It's the halving coming up because the reward for miners are dropping. The last time this happened, Bitcoin rallied by 4,000%, and it's been an incredible asset. It's uncorrelated to the overall market. It delivers systematic, asymmetric returns. Tranchev says he believes Bitcoin's narrative has changed in the last few years. Instead of being the new form of cash, he says Bitcoin is emerging as a new digital form of gold. I'll explain that in 1 second. The initial idea was we were going to pay for coffee with Bitcoin, but obviously that has failed to materialize. I think the narrative now that is much more persuasive is that Bitcoin is the new gold. And we see confirmation like the turmoil that we have this morning. Bitcoin is rallying on par with gold. And in terms of sheer price action, if Bitcoin is the new gold and it captures 10% of the total market cap of gold, which is around 8 trillion or 9 trillion, then Bitcoin will be 50,000 US dollars. The original idea was that Bitcoin would be sped up in the future, and therefore everyone would be able to use Bitcoin on a daily basis. That does not seem to be happening anytime within the next 5 years. I'll say 2 years, 2 to 5 years. So the entire idea has been now that Bitcoin will simply be used as a store of value. And people usually end up saying, well, that's boring. Not really. The US dollar is a store of value. Gold is a store of value. What happens when you own an entire Bitcoin and it is used as a reserve currency to mark prices for other items. Well, that Bitcoin becomes worth a lot. What happens when you have an entire Bitcoin and Bitcoin itself has end up in a weird future worth $100 million per coin? And I can feel people sucking their teeth when I say that number. I said that once to a friend. So I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you as well. People always come up to me, or my friends ask me, where do you think Bitcoin's price is going to go? You know, I saw Bitcoin going down. How high do you think it's going to go? And I tell them where I think the price will go if we continue on the current trend, if we get more people in the market, if prices continue to go up. And I think I told a friend one time, and I made sure to never tell anyone else again, I myself wholeheartedly expect, I don't know if it'll happen next year, in 4 years, in 8 years, or 12 years, I expect a Bitcoin price of $1 million at some point. Myself. This is also going on like a long-term model, long-term figure, which I try to also tell other people, and usually my friends. If you've never been into investing before, you may not really understand what long-term means. When you buy a property, you hold it for the long term. When you buy a stock that you believe in, you hold it for the long term. Why? Because that's where all the money ends up coming from. It's a long-term hold. And just trying to explain Bitcoin's reward getting cut in half, Bitcoin's reward eventually being 3.75. I think the next halving, the one that's coming up, I think we'll put Bitcoin's, I think it's 2.25% inflation that Bitcoin will have. The current rate of inflation, so saith the government, is anywhere between 2 to 5%, 2 to 3%. This is what they aim for. Every country aims for a 2 to 3% inflation rate on their currency. They say 1%. It's never 1%. It's always 2 something. It's always 2 point so and so. This would put Bitcoin on par with the other world currencies as far as the amount of coins, money that's being released into the system. By 2024, the issuance rate will be 1.275. I think that's a number that I've seen quoted around before, which would put Bitcoin exactly where other governments want to have their current inflation rates, which means Bitcoin's inflation rate will be lower than every other world currency that we currently have. And then you skip forward to 2028, and it's, what is it, 0.7 something? 0.1, 0.625? 0.675? That's, so this is where you get these numbers from. This is where you get the idea from. And if Bitcoin just even if Bitcoin just continues on its current trajectory, these are the numbers that we're looking at. And this is why when you listen to that guy called Plan B, why he refuses just to tell people what he foresees within the next 10 to 12 years, because people look at you completely insane. Not many people can fathom a situation where Bitcoin hits $1 million. Keeping in mind, once again, what I always say, there's a reason when you talk about, so how many of you have heard of Nexo? I'll put it to you this way. Show of hands. I assume like 3 people raised their hands. They may be a big company, but they're not a massive company. They're not a company that's large enough for people all around the world to know them. The fact that they're in the cryptocurrency market, and they've been doing their own analysis for however long, and these are the numbers that they are getting. Look a bit further. Look beyond that hill and look at the mountain behind it of the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, who've also thrown as much money as possible behind Bitcoin. Now, one can assume that if Nexo's doing this work and getting a Bitcoin price of $50,000, and potentially sometime in the future they may be getting the exact same numbers that the guy from the stock to flow ratio Plan B is also getting, this then now makes sense as to why major institutions will be getting into the custody of Bitcoin, custody of cryptocurrencies, buying, selling, holding, trading. Remember all those banks that we had in the news from 2019? All the banks who were like, yeah, we're suddenly comfortable with holding Bitcoin and holding your Bitcoin, and giving you interest rates on Bitcoin. Why would they all be doing that? Because they probably are following the exact same models that we've been talking about. Like I said, all these people, except for the guy who was joking about 1,000, they all come to the same exact conclusion. All of them. That Bitcoin will pass by 50,000, will have $1 trillion market cap, and that's just within this year or next year. Think far ahead. Bitcoin has been around for 11 years. Think what will happen in another 11 years when we experience 3 more halvings. Is it all starting to slowly make sense? I know a lot of you there, you've heard my ramblings before, but I have to make sure to put things directly in front of your face a lot, because I think people sometimes focus on what the current price is, not the fact that all these billionaires are buying up Bitcoin and setting up infrastructure to be able to hold Bitcoin in mountains, in safes, on their platforms. Like, why would the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ and all these other major players, all the other stock exchanges who now have cryptocurrency trading desks, they clearly have foreseen and have come to the same conclusion with all these numbers as to where Bitcoin's price is going to be. The craziest part for me will be, the craziest part, my gosh, is if Bitcoin's price hits 50,000 US dollars this year, there are still going to be so many people who are like, well, that's as high as it's going to go. It's definitely not going to hit 100K. I will mute all of these people from my life forever. The moment, I had a friend who told me the moment Bitcoin passed by 10,000, that would be the moment that he would solidify that he would get into the cryptocurrency market. And he stayed true to his word. He's still in crypto because that was the solidifying factor for him. If Bitcoin could pass by 10,000, it could do anything. By the time it hit 20,000, he was like, cool, let's do this. Still in the same position, still buying up all the time. All these other companies have done their research, same analysis, same stock to flow, have figured out that the world is moving to a very vastly, completely digital future. And I want to say, I bet that they're probably all betting on a Bitcoin price of at least $250,000 within the next 10 to 12 years. Easily. Because what ends up happening is, even in 2017, I think the max Bitcoin price prediction, I think, was between 7,000 and 8,000. That was it. And by the time we were like around 15,000, people were like, well, those other predictions simply didn't work. Bitcoin isn't simply going to hit exactly 50,000 and then slink back down. As we get closer to that 50, people are going to start buying up in mass and it's going to shoot past it. There will be a drop down. Drop downs always happen. And I'm assuming that by the time we get above or near or over a $50,000 Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price will probably slink back down to anywhere from 12 to 17,000. And then we'll get the same news articles. Bitcoin's dead. Bitcoin's never going to come back. And then we'll have the same cycle repeating. As always. Next up, FunStrat's Tom Lee has forecasted that Bitcoin's price will reach 91. My goodness. Oh boy. That's why Freisch is scratching his head. That Bitcoin's price will reach $91,000 by March of 2020. Basing his predictions on a chart that shows Bitcoin's performance after past market dips, Forbes reported last year in March. Lee and FunStrat use an average of the percentage gained in price after every dip to average out the 2020 price. The Forbes piece notes that because the chart is based on a logarithmic scale as opposed to the traditional linear graph, Bitcoin's highs and lows are not as distinct. Lee has been predicting Bitcoin's price since it was below 3,000 in July 2017. Lee has already stated that Bitcoin's price will hit 55,000 by 2020. More recently, in January, Lee said that Bitcoin would hit 25,000 by the end of 2018. He hasn't always been right, but he has been right a couple of times. He's one of the few people who usually gets invited to CNBC and other platforms to talk about the price of where Bitcoin is going to go. Tom Lee has been right before. This may be one of the more silly ones. If we can, oh my gosh, if we can hit a Bitcoin price of 91,000 by March, I think I would legit take about good 2 weeks off. And I would buy a new computer and I would go record on the beach. That sounds a lot more. I don't think we're going to hit 91,000 by March. I think we will eventually hit 91,000. That would be a great birthday present for everyone. If your birthday is not on March, it doesn't even matter. That's still a great birthday present for everybody. Another popular person who I may not always agree with, but is incredibly, why is this? Oh my God, I don't understand. This website keeps like auto playing stuff and it drives me completely insane. Anthony Pompliano, co-founder of crypto asset management firm Morgan Creek Digital Assets, has predicted that Bitcoin will hit $100,000 by the end of 2021. In an interview with Blocks Live TV on the 2nd of July, he said the basic principle behind his forecast was classic supply-demand economics, still valid for the innovative digital asset class. One of the largest drivers of continued price appreciation will be Bitcoin's halving, when mining rewards will be reduced by half in May of 2020. Meanwhile, most institutional investors aren't even aware of this looming reduction in supply, he noted, suggesting that they will continue to drive the market from the perspective of the sentiment, which will be continuation of trends we've already been seeing. A lot of people have no idea this is happening. It's very, very odd. It's only people within the cryptocurrency space who really usually take note for a lot of these things, even a lot of the other upgrades that have been happening on a lot of other coins. A lot of people don't focus on the upgrades, which they should be, because it also shows exactly what's going to drive the future price. If we have a situation where something is only doing 8 transactions per second, and they end up being able to do 3,000 transactions per second, it's something that you probably should be paying attention to. So we're moving into the realm of, by the end of this year, we will see a new all-time high. A lot of people think that once people have finally realized what's happened, that's when Bitcoin's price will start going completely insane. That's a $2 trillion market cap. That is it 2468? 246? Is that a fourth or a third of the entire market cap of gold? When that ends up happening, the news that's going to happen is going to cause a lot of people to start selling even fragments of their gold and silver. If people even take 2 or 3 ounces of gold out of their portfolio and start throwing it into Bitcoin, it's going to cause a huge, massive shift of all the money that will then be in the future also flowing into Bitcoin. Here's another, I forgot which chart this is. Oh, this is from iHodl. Basically, it comes down to the exact same thing. They are predicting also, right here, as the halving happens, according to their charts, that Bitcoin will hit 100,000 just about the time that the halving ends up taking place. 6.25% new Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. And then 2024 will be 3.75? I'm so bad with that number. 3.65. 3.625? 3.625. I'll go with that one. I feel like that's wrong, but I'll go with that number. You guys get the hint by now. I said it at the beginning of the video. Everyone has come to the same conclusion. It's a matter of, will these conclusions play out? A lot of people think that they're going to. This one says 2023, 150,000 plus per Bitcoin. 2017, 1976. Everyone has the same thing. Where is it? Is this it? No? Is this it? Yes. Everyone has the same exact chart. Everyone's coming to the same exact conclusion. I want to ask where everyone thinks Bitcoin's price is going this year. There was already a situation where someone said in 2017 that Bitcoin's price was going to be $10. That was not correct. Someone else said that Bitcoin would be 0. Nope, also not correct. We had a couple of people who said that right now Bitcoin would be below 1,000. Not this guy, but a lot of other people thought that. That guy with all the gold, Peter Schiff, I think he said Bitcoin would be below sub 2,000 right now. Also not correct. All the projections that we're getting are nearly all exactly the same. And I guess the creme de la creme of the price predictions for this year is Mr. John McAfee, who said that he believes that Bitcoin's price would be $1 million by the end of this year. And then he changed that to $2 million. And for those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin's price should be $150,000 right now, according to John McAfee's prediction. Well, either way, I'm excited. I'll try my best, unless something really significant happens, I'll try my best to not talk about price predictions anymore until I'll start doing it again around May. By the time May rolls around, by the time May rolls around, I'll be obligated to start talking about it again, because the excitement will be too palpable to not really talk about it. 11 years. Look how far we've come. It's actually completely insane, everything that's taken place. And I and my friend, if you're listening to this, I think I have a couple of friends who's listening to this, but there's one friend who I sit with in a cafe like 5 times a week, just discussing the future and where Bitcoin's price is going to go. Hello to you, and hello to all of you. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope that you all have and are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. I still want to know what you all think. Where do you think Bitcoin's price is going to go? And give me a realistic price. Don't talk about that Bitcoin's going to 0 this year because your coin is so much better. Give me a real number. Try and make it. Give me a thoughtful response as to where you think Bitcoin's price is going to go. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.